On a crowded red carpet in 2017, Jim Carrey stunned a reporter by declaring, "I didn't get dressed up. There is no me. There's just things happening." The king of goofball comedy suddenly spoke like a sage, unbound by identity, leaving everyone bewildered. The world laughed uneasily. Was this another Carrey bit, or the truth leaking out from behind his famous grin? The question hung in the air. Did Jim Carrey lose himself, or did he finally find peace? Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. In today's episode, we delve into the profound transformation of Jim Carrey. From the carefree clown who just wants to make you free from concern to a philosopher shedding his own ego, Carrey's journey challenges everything we think we know about fame, identity, and fulfillment. Let's unravel the curious case of Jim Carrey, the man who had to lose Jim Carrey in order to find himself. Jim Carrey's story begins with laughter forged from pain. Born in 1962 in small-town Canada, young Jim learned early that humor could be a lifeline. When his father lost his job, the family spiraled into poverty and even homelessness. Yet Jim turned hardship into a joke. "When I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job, and I actually became homeless. But of course I grew up in Canada, so I thought we'd gone camping." Comedy became his armor, a mask to cope with reality. Fittingly, he would later literally don the mask and skyrocket to fame. Carrey threw himself into stand-up as a teenager, honing a larger-than-life persona. After countless failures on stage, he desperately pondered how to win over any audience. One sleepless night, the answer hit him. Everyone just wants to be free from concern. If he could make people forget their worries, even for a moment, he would own the room. This insight became the foundation of the Jim Carrey character, a manic, fearless jester who would do anything for a laugh. He wasn't just performing comedy, he was liberating people from their burdens, and in doing so, hiding his own. His determination and wild talent soon paid off. Legend has it that in the late 1980s, a broke, unknown Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, post-dating it years in the future. It sounded like a ludicrous fantasy until it came true. By 1994, Carrey headlined Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber in 1 year, becoming the $10 million per movie megastar he dreamed of. He had transformed from a van-dwelling kid to Hollywood's funniest leading man, seemingly manifesting success through sheer will and belief. As he later reflected, "You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love." Advice he learned from his father and lived to the letter. By the late 90s, Jim Carrey was a global icon of comedy. Rubber-faced, boundlessly energetic, always on. His public image was an almost cartoonish, happy-go-lucky goofball. This was the illusion. A persona so effective at spreading joy that few suspected anything could be wrong behind those smiling eyes. But behind the spotlight's glare, a storm was brewing in Carrey's soul. The man who made everyone laugh was secretly struggling to remember what genuine happiness felt like. The mask was about to slip. At the height of his fame, Jim Carrey faced an enemy that no joke could deflect: depression. He was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and for years he tried to medicate it away. Carrey once described living with depression as feeling A low level of despair. You're not getting any answers, but you're living okay and smiling at the office. But it's a low level of despair. Even as the world laughed with him, he quietly battled that empty ache. The man who could seemingly become anyone on screen was struggling to figure out who he really was when the cameras stopped rolling. It became harder to maintain the carefree illusion. In the late 90s, Carrey's film roles themselves took a turn toward the existential. The Truman Show, 1998, saw him portraying a man whose entire life is a fake manufactured for an audience, a chilling mirror of fame's artificiality. Then, in 1999, Carrey went even further with Man on the Moon, diving so deep into the character of avant-garde comedian Andy Kaufman that he began to forget where Andy ended and Jim began. On the set of Man on the Moon, Carrey insisted on staying in character as Kaufman for months. He played the prankster, the troublemaker, the gentle soul of Andy with total immersion, and something extraordinary happened. Carrey later recounted a mystical moment by the ocean. As he prepared for the role, he felt Andy Kaufman's presence show up, tap me on the shoulder and say, "Sit down, I'll be doing my movie." From that moment, Jim surrendered completely. What happened afterward was out of my control, he recalled. In giving himself over to becoming another person, Carrey experienced what he called a disintegration of ego. The boundaries of Jim Carrey blurred and vanished. When filming ended, Carrey was jolted by a shocking realization. He couldn't remember how to be Jim Carrey anymore. Once the film was over, I couldn't remember who I was. I was gone, he admitted in an interview years later, describing it as a total ego death. He looked in the mirror and questioned everything. Who's Jim Carrey? Oh yeah, he doesn't exist. There's just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and then somebody gave him a bunch of ideas, a name, a religion, and a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that is supposed to be a personality. In other words, Jim Carrey was a story, a character, an illusion all along, and now that illusion had crumbled. At the same time, Carrey's long-neglected pain demanded to be heard. His depression deepened around this period, bringing him to a breaking point. In his own frank words, "Depression is your body saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created. The world is too much for me." All the years of playing the goofy hero, on screen and in real life, had exhausted his spirit. Jim Carrey the persona had to collapse, because Jim Carrey the person was suffering under the weight of it. The unraveling was messy and painful. He withdrew from the Hollywood scene, faced personal tragedies and controversies, and even flirted with infamy through bizarre public appearances. Friends and fans were left puzzled, watching this beloved funny man seemingly fall apart. But sometimes, falling apart is the only way to rebuild. Jim Carrey was stripping away the layers of masks and ego, embarking, perhaps unknowingly, on a journey inward. He began to seek solace beyond the material successes that no longer satisfied him. He swore off Prozac, and eventually even stopped drinking coffee or alcohol, determined to face himself without chemical haze. He turned to spirituality and art for healing, spending long hours painting in his studio as a form of therapy. The public saw a man stepping back from movies and talk shows, growing a shaggy beard and speaking of higher truths. It looked like Jim Carrey had lost his mind, but in truth, he was in the process of finding something far more important. Out of the ashes of ego, a new Jim Carrey emerged. Or perhaps no Jim Carrey at all. The goofy grin gave way to a peaceful smile, the frantic energy to a calm presence. He started appearing not in blockbuster comedies, but in interviews and commencement speeches, sounding more like a Zen monk than a movie star. Carrey talked openly about awakening from the character of Jim Carrey and the freedom that came with letting go of his manufactured identity. In a now famous commencement address in 2014, Jim Carrey shared the profound lessons he had learned about life and self. With the wisdom of someone who had seen behind the curtain of fame, he told the audience, "Ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling." The crowd of graduates listened in awe as a man known for talking out of his butt, quite literally in Ace Ventura, delivered truths about the illusory nature of identity. Carrey went on to say, "I've often said that I wish people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion." This wasn't just theoretical for him. He had achieved all those dreams, and it only made him realize that true fulfillment lives elsewhere. So where does peace lie, if not in our personalities, achievements, or ego constructs? Carrey's answer: beyond all that. In one interview, he flat out rejected his former notions of self. "I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personalities, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off." In his eyes, the superhero costumes we all wear, the identities we project to feel important or safe, are ultimately cages. And real peace is found by stepping out of the costume, out of the character, into the quiet space behind the mask. Carrey began speaking about concepts like being a part of a unified field of consciousness, about how our eyes are not just viewers, but also projectors of our own narrative. To some, this sounded crazy or weirdly existential, as when he baffled a red carpet reporter by drifting into talk about the meaningless of icons and even existence itself. "There is no me. It's not our world. We don't matter," he said bluntly, with a serene smile. Comments like these made headlines and confused many fans. Was this a nervous breakdown or a breakthrough? Carrey would likely smile at the question itself, because for him, losing the ego, Jim Carrey, was the breakthrough. Freed from the need to be somebody, Jim Carrey found a kind of playful freedom in being nobody. He embraced minimalism and a quieter life. He spent hours painting in his art studio, saying, "I'm being painted and being expressed through art. There's little me involved." He devoted time to spiritual practices like meditation and simply being. When he did act again, in films like Eternal Sunshine or the more recent Kidding series, it was with a depth and vulnerability that only someone who had faced himself could muster. He even wrote a philosophical novel satirizing Hollywood's insanity, as if to put the old life of superficiality to rest. By all appearances, the loud, attention-seeking Jim Carrey of the 90s was gone. In his place was a thoughtful, introspective soul who seemed genuinely content living outside the spotlight. In one moving interview, Carrey described how his depression lifted once he let go of the persona and the perpetual striving. "I had that for years," he said of his depression, "but now, when the rain comes, it rains, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay long enough to immerse me and drown me anymore. The clouds still come, but they quickly pass. He experiences emotions without getting lost in them, much like a man watching the weather rather than thinking he is the weather. This is the calm after the storm of ego, the state of peace he seemed to yearn for all along. Jim Carrey's journey forces us to reconsider what it means to lose yourself. From the outside, it might look like he went off the deep end, discarding a wildly successful career, talking in riddles about consciousness, essentially declaring that Jim Carrey, the persona, doesn't exist. But ask yourself, is that loss or liberation? Carrey himself would argue that in losing the false self, he found his real self, the one that isn't defined by fame, laughter, or any story at all. In stripping away the caricature the world knew, he uncovered a deeper truth within, a quiet peace that no box office record could ever bring. In the end, perhaps the answer to our question is a bit of both. Jim Carrey did lose Jim Carrey, the over-the-top comedian, the mask we all loved. But in doing so, he gained something far more precious: authenticity, inner peace, and freedom from the chains of ego. It's a transformation that is both dramatic and inspiring, a reminder that sometimes the greatest journey is not rising to the top of the world, but coming back home to yourself. So, did Jim Carrey lose himself or finally find peace? Sometimes losing yourself is the only way to truly find yourself. In the wise, stupid, and funny story of Jim Carrey, losing his old identity was not the end of the story at all. It was the beginning of a new one where a man known for making us laugh could finally smile within. If Jim Carrey's journey made you question your own mask, hit like and subscribe for more stories that go deeper than fame, into the people behind the spotlight.